Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, well, mostly romance to be honest with you. It's my weekly wrap up. So, two things to start with. Firstly, and most importantly, I was delighted to wake up this morning and see in my YouTube feed videos from both Michael Covert and Steve Donoghue. So, fantastic to have you back, guys. You have been missed. Secondly, I'm still a bit COVID-y, and so if this is very rambly, apologies. Equally, if there are lots of strange edits in this video, it's because I've had to pause it to cough. So we'll see how I get on. So normal format for this weekly wrap up. So I will talk about the books I have read in the last week, and I've read a lot. Having COVID and not being at work, so I was due to be off work this week anyway. So basically, all I've done all week is read trashy books. So I've got through a lot of them. So I'll talk about that, and then I'll talk about what has been on the channel and what is likely to be coming on the channel in the week ahead. Okay, let's get on with the books then, and I'm going to start with the 3 Kindle books I read, because otherwise I'm going to forget about them because I don't physically have them in front of me. So the first one, and the best book I read this week, it was phenomenal, was Thor by Wayne Smith, which I read for Kelly Hooked on Books' From Hell book club. So this is I think late 80s horror novel. It was filmed as, I think, Bad Moon. I haven't seen the film, but it's effectively a werewolf story, and that's a slight spoiler, but it's like spoiled all over the place. So don't worry about the fact that that's a slight spoiler. So it's about a family whose uncle comes to stay with them, and there's something weird about the uncle. And the only member of the family who realises that is the family dog, Thor. And the vast majority of the book is told from Thor's perspective. And it was just wonderful. It was such a good book. It's really, really gripping and exciting as a kind of suspense novel. But it was also really moving. Really moving. And the way the author puts you, the reader, in the mind of the dog was brilliant. His kind of Thor's internal narrative about why he does the things that he does, I thought was just perfectly done. It was really, really good. And I'm not I'm not a dog owner. I'm a cat owner. But it really felt credible. I mean, obviously, it's probably not that credible, but it did feel credible in terms of him making this dog an active character in the story. And Thor's motivations, Thor's worries, everything. It was just a lovely book. I really, really enjoyed it, and I thoroughly recommend it if you're a dog lover, and even if you're not a dog lover, if you're just a horror lover. It was a really, really thoroughly entertaining read, and I without hesitation gave it 5 stars. Now there is at least one major plot hole in it, but it really didn't bother me at all. I think I will probably end up doing a review on this book because I really liked it a hell of a lot. Moving on then to the other 2 Kindle books I read, neither of which were anywhere near as good as Thor. So the first was Wanted by the Wolf, which was a shifter romance. So I read this to tick off the shifter romance scare on my August Bingo card. So this is by someone called Bella Drake. I don't believe Bella Drake is the real name of the author. I think anyone who's writing books about shifters and claims to be called Bella is probably lying. Yes. Anyway, it was fine. It was basically very similar to the other shifter romance I read in the run up to Garb August, Bronze Dragon. So it's definitely a very strict formula for these things. So this one is about it's part of a series called SWAT Shifters. So it's about a SWAT team who are all shifters. The main character, I think he's called Cole, is a wolf shifter. So he shifts into a grey wolf. And it starts with this SWAT team taking down a kind of hostage situation, and there's this woman there who's kind of got some connections to the hostage takers, but is not like a baddie. And she and Cole, whatever he's called, fall in love, and he's a shifter, etc., etc. It was fun. It was quite entertaining, but it is. I do find. I mean, it's all weirdly contrived, which seems like a strange thing to say because it's obviously going to be weirdly contrived, but it does all feel very artificial. What was really interesting, I thought about it was though, that because it exists in this universe of shifter romances where people who read these books will probably read a lot of them and they just totally get the whole concept. At no point does the author make any attempt to try and explain why there are shifters or anything like that. They're just shifters. Just deal with it. There are shifters. Let's move on and let's get on with the romance and the sex. So yeah, it was interesting and quite entertaining. But yeah, definitely not nearly as good as Thor, which also featured a shifter but no romance. And then the other Kindle book I read, which again I read to tick off a Garbingo Square, was Make My Wish Come True by Katie Price. So Katie Price is an English celebrity who has written a bunch of, there are a bunch of novels published under her name. And she's been very open from right at the start about the fact that she didn't actually write any of these books. So she says she's involved in the creative process. She discusses ideas with the authors and things like that, but she doesn't write the books. So I don't know who wrote this one. There was a ghostwriter who was connected with Katie Price for years, who wrote a couple of non-fiction books for her as well as a bunch of novels, who sadly died at quite a young age, in her 40s, I think. And I think this is the first book that was published with a new author after the original ghostwriter passed away. But yeah, it was just not very good. I didn't enjoy it at all. And I'm sure, she sells a decent number of books. So clearly there are a lot of people out there who enjoy these books, and more power to them. But I did not enjoy this book. So it's about and I would say the Goodreads average rating for this book is 4.27, which is pretty high. In fact, it may be, it's one of the higher rated books I've read recently, I think, on Goodreads. So it's about this young woman who's a journalist who dreams of being like a showbiz journalist, and her boyfriend's a shit. And there's all sorts of different plots going on in this book. One about her best friend who gets involved in a one-night stand with a footballer, and Storm, who's the main character, her boyfriend, finds out about this and ends up putting it in the newspapers. But then the main romantic plot is about the fact that Storm falls in love with this celebrity chef, this Italian guy, whose name escapes me now. So it's kind of about their romance. The problem I had with the book was really nothing to do with the subject matter at all. It was more just the length. It was much, much longer than it needed to be. It was twice as long as it needed to be. And I've read, and I'll talk about in a minute, a number of Harlequin or Mills and Boon romances, category romances this week, which were much shorter, which were half the length, and work a lot better. This just felt really stretched out and really padded. It felt like a lot of it had been written to meet a publisher word count for how many, how long the book should be, and it was just too much. So yeah, did not enjoy. Right, so let's get on to the paperbacks I've read then. So I've just finished this. So this is the one non-romancy book I read this week. Well, actually, not the only non-romancy book, but more my normal kind of thing. So this is Strikeforce Falklands, Book 5, Covert Op by Adam Hardy. So Adam Hardy is a pseudonym for a guy called Ken Bulmer, I think. Yeah, Kenneth Bulmer, who wrote a ton of kind of pulpy books. He also wrote, under the Adam Hardy name, a series of books set on like the high seas in, I guess, the kind of Napoleonic sort of era, about a guy called Fox, who's a a kind of sailor basically, which is supposed to be really good. So the new channel, A Yard of Random Books, which is really good, did a excellent video recently comparing the first Fox book to the first Hornblower book. So check that out. It was a very, very good video. I'll try and remember to link to it in the description. Anyway, as Adam Hardy, Bulmer also wrote this series of books to cash in on the Falklands War, which is a bit of a unpleasant concept in itself. But actually, it was a very efficiently written book. I enjoyed it a lot. So it's an action novel. Clearly, there's a couple of plots going on which work very well together. So one about the Strikeforce team, who are like this elite team of soldiers, British soldiers. So one about them on a secret mission to try and disrupt Argentine operations, and then the other one is the other plot is about one of them, his relationship with a woman, and a kind of espionage thing that happens as a result of that. So it was very gripping. He has really good, like cheesy but good dialogue. So you do get this real sense of camaraderie and things like that between the different guys in the unit in a way that you don't in some of the like Phoenix Force books and things like that I've read, which have a team of soldiers. It always feels a bit forced, whereas in this the camaraderie did feel quite natural. So yeah, it was a fun read. I enjoyed it. I then read for Audible August, which is the event that's been organised by Gareth from Book Songs and Other Magic, where we're reading books related to like songwriting and singing and things like that. I read the first of the Kids from Fame books by Lisa Todd, also a pseudonym, so a pseudonym for Stephen Gallagher, the British horror writer. This was fun. So I really like the Kids from Fame TV series, which I've now discovered wasn't called the Kids from Fame in America. It was just called Fame. I don't know why it was called the Kids from Fame in the UK, but it was called the Kids from Fame over here. So this it feels really episodic, and I don't know if it was based on a number of different episodes of the show, but there's about 4 different stories effectively in this book, but not presented as separate stories, but there's 4 separate storylines which kind of start and finish. So it did lack something kind of overarching that carried you as the reader through the whole book. But it was quite fun, and it did make me kind of nostalgic for watching the TV show when I was a kid and the different characters and things like that. So yeah, it's a group of young people at this like performing arts school in New York, and their trials and tribulations and things like that. So going for auditions and things. There's one of the big stories, probably the main story in this is about this guy who's got kind of some kind of mental health issues, or trying to think how to describe it, and I can't. But basically, he struggles with social situations and things like that. But he's a fantastic singer, and it's about how some of the other kids react to him and that kind of thing. So it's all very wholesome and kind of sweet. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Okay, so let's get on to the... actually, let's do this one next. So, I also read again, Kelly Hooked on Books runs a VC Andrews reading group. So I read this, Dark Angel, which is the second of the Castle saga. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. So the first book, Heaven, which we read last month, I really, really liked. This one is good. It's still very readable and fun, but it's not as batshit crazy as the best Virginia Andrews. And it occurred to me reading it that that's what I really like in Virginia Andrews' books, is when she just goes completely bonkers. And it felt like she didn't really in this one, but it's still really engaging. So it's about this young woman, Heaven, who comes from a very poor family, trying to, and in the first book, her father sells all his children. And that first book, actually I won't tell you how it ends, but basically in this one she's living with this wealthy family for various reasons. And it's about her kind of trying to find out information about her own identity, She goes to this kind of posh boarding school in this one, and the girls there are all bullies and awful. So that section of the book was really quite enjoyable. There's a very strange sequence involving literally a bag of human shit, which was probably my favourite part of the book. Aside from that, it's readable and entertaining, but yeah, not up there with the best of VC Andrews in my opinion. Okay, so the 3 Harlequin romances I read then. So this one I've talked about on the channel already, so I did a kind of, it's not really a review, but kind of a review of this. So Hitting the Brakes by Ken Casper, which is one of his NASCAR romances. This was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It's just a very well constructed, pulpy novel, written to order. But he does a fantastic job, and I'll go into a bit more detail of this in the review. He does a fantastic job of immersing you in the world of NASCAR and the kind of created universe that Harlequin have come up with, which has got a bunch of different families and things like that, and ongoing storylines and all that kind of thing. So this is kind of not the first book in the series by any means, but he does a great job of getting you up to speed with the details of what's happened in previous books, of immersing you in like the technical terminology of NASCAR, and the races are really exciting in this. The romance is satisfying. It was just a very, very competently written, enjoyable, trashy book. I really liked it. And then the other 2 I've read are both in these Mills and Boon doubles. So this one is, and I don't really understand exactly what the distinction between Mills and Boon and Harlequin is, other than I think Mills and Boon is what they call them in the UK and Harlequin is what they call them in the US. But I don't know if like Mills and Boon books are published in the US in the same way that Harlequin books definitely are over here, if that makes sense. So anyway, this one, I read the first book in this, which is The Celebrity Doctor's Proposal by Sarah Morgan, which is a UK set. So unlike the NASCAR book, obviously, which is set in the US. This is a UK set romance about this woman who's a GP, a general practitioner, who her partner in her practice is, I think he's just going on a long holiday basically, and they need a locum doctor to fill in, and he gets his son to do it, who is this smarmy looking celebrity doctor who you can see on the cover there, and there's a bit of history between him and the female doctor who also works at the practice. They there's sparks fly and all that kind of stuff, but they end up having a romance. It was fine. I didn't enjoy it as much as the NASCAR one, but it was sweetly entertaining. Really properly cozy feeling. Some of the medical stuff was quite fun, where like he helps around with difficult cases and stuff like that. So yeah, it was entertaining, but I didn't enjoy the kind of UK setting as much as I've enjoyed the US settings. And then from this one, read Cold Case Coiorado by Cassie Miles. So this is more my kind of thing, in that it's basically a locked room mystery. So it's about a young woman who's staying with her. So she's gone through some troubled times and has like a stalker and things like that. And she's staying with, I think it's her uncle or her cousin, I forget now, who's a celebrity chef. So we've got a celebrity chef again. And she's helping him like write a book basically. And he lives in this big mansion because he's really rich. And a body gets found in one of the rooms of the mansion. So there's this, and then there's also a tie back to a previous tragedy, a previous unexplained death. And there's the sheriff of the town, the small town that the mansion's on the outskirts of, happens to be at the house when the body's discovered. And it's about him and the female character, investigating both the locked room mystery and the cold case, and also falling in love. So it was very, very entertaining. It was well done. I enjoyed it a lot. The mystery elements were decently handled. It's not the best mystery I've ever read, but they were decently handled. The romance was sweet. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to reading the second one in this, Colton's Killer Pursuit, which is another suspensey one. So in the UK, these are published as Mills and Boon Heroes. In the US, I think it's Harlequin Suspense. So yeah, I'm really enjoying dipping into trashy romances, I have to say. And this week, I forgot to say, so this week was Anything Goes week, where you can read anything you like as long as it's trash. And I've used it to explore, to explore the romance genre, because obviously I read a load of trash, but I tend to read, if you like, male-oriented trash. So trash that's aimed at men, like Strikeforce Falklands. So reading romance has been really interesting, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And I've picked up a couple of other things, which I'm going to read at some point as well. So yeah, looking forward to digging into more Harlequin / Mills and Boon. Very much enjoying them. So that's what I've read this week. So quite a lot. I did have 2 DNFs. So I've been struggling with COVID. I started both of these books. So Savages by Shirley Conran, which I got like over 100 pages into, and Dirty Movies by Herbert, Castle, and I just didn't have the energy for either of them. So Savages was just really slow. It just felt really slow. Like I read 100 pages and basically nothing had happened. I do really want to read it because I think the concept is great, which is that this group of rich wives so their husbands all get killed they're on this exotic island. Their husbands all get killed in a revolution, and they have to fend for themselves. So I think it's a great concept, but it was I just couldn't face reading another 500 odd pages of it, to be honest with you. And I think partly that's because of COVID and not having a great attention span at the moment and things like that. So most of the books I've read this week have been very short. Like books I've been able to read in a couple of sittings, and I just couldn't face something longer. Dirty Movies, again, is quite long. It's like 450 pages long, and it was just really unpleasant. So obviously, normally I kind of gravitate to quite unpleasant books, but I just haven't been in that mood this week. What with not being ill and some stuff going on outside of my kind of reading life, shall we say, outside of BookTube. We've had some family stuff going on. I was in the mood for light and fluffy rather than unpleasant. So I will give this a try at some point, but did not finish this week. Okay, so reading stuff in the week ahead then. So we move into WTF week. So I've got a few things potentially that I could read for WTF week. I think the 3 that are top of my list at the moment, 2 of which weren't on my original TBR for Garb August, are so Firefly, which I think I'm going to try reading next. So it is long again, it's 450 pages, but I'm going to give it a go. And then I've also got Mandingo by Carl Onstott, the famous plantation romance. So I do want to give this a try, because this feels like certainly a book that epitomises a lot of the things that I talk about in terms of trash fiction, in terms of being problematic content, very much driven by current events at the time. So in this case, the civil rights movement. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in reading this. And then I've also got this Sister by Andrew Needleman, which I just really fancy. I'm just in the mood for something really, really trashy, and it's got a fantastically, the front cover is not that trashy. The back cover is really trashy. It's got an Evil Kids back cover. It's about these twins, conjoined twins, who are have superpowers or psychic powers, and it just sounds very, very trashy and a bit WTF-y. And I'm definitely in the mood for something like this at the moment. So yeah, looking forward to trying that one out. And then I've got a couple of other things as well. So there have been some things that I wasn't intending to read, which I ended up reading this week. So Strikeforce Falklands, the NASCAR romance, Cold Case Coiorado. None of those were on my TBR. So I am being a bit flexible with it. But yeah, we'll see how I get on with those. But I have now ticked off all of the squares on the Garb August Garbingo card, which I'm thrilled with. So yeah, so my Garbingo card is complete. I've read 5,000 pages of trash now as part of Garb August, which feels like quite a lot. And there's still 10 days of Garb August left. So we're moving into obviously WTF week, and then at the end we've got half a week which I guess is another anything goes week. I never really thought about that, but yeah, so there's another few days at the end of August after next weekend. So I will dig into, I don't know what at that point, but yeah, still very much enjoying it. And yes, 5,000 pages does seem quite a lot, doesn't it? Right, let's move on to channel stuff. So I didn't put up a video yesterday. I just wasn't feeling well enough to film. I was coughing my guts up. I have to say this video seems to be going okay for me anyway. Hopefully it's for you too. But I've not been coughing. I've not been coughing yet. So what did go up on the channel last week then? So my Sunday Bollocks video was about trash versus the kind of concepts of highbrow, middlebrow and lowbrow books. I did a Garb August book haul, another one, and called it the final Garb August book haul, but I have subsequently bought some romances. I did Ask Criminally episode 4, I did the hobby tag, which was fun, and then I did the review of the NASCAR book, which I've talked about. In the week ahead, I've been tagged in loads of tag videos recently. So I've got to do the Damn I'm Old tag, I've got to do the Literary Canon tag, which I think is probably the one I'm going to do this week. I'm also going to try and do, so Dave and Olive from Book Bladder did a lovely kind of spreading the love style tag yesterday, so I'm going to try and do that as an extra video this week as well. I'll probably do another episode of Ask Criminally, and I'll do a review probably of Thor, I think, or maybe of something else, I don't know. I'll probably try and do because Thor, whilst it's kind of trashy, it wasn't really trash, so I'll try and do a proper trash review this week as well. But yeah, all of that, health permitting, touch wood, I'm not feeling too bad at the moment, so hopefully I'll be able to get back into the routine of doing a video every day. So yeah, look out, and we will see what comes on the channel in the week ahead. So I wanted to finish as I started by saying absolutely fantastic to see Stephen and Michael back. Already loving their videos again. Had great fun this morning with Michael's alternative timeline book haul video and Steve's Phantom video. And it occurred, I don't think I even realised that there were Phantom books. I knew there was a Phantom comic character, but I don't think I realised there were Phantom prose books. So naturally now I need to read as many Phantom books as I can, because I am that much of a trashy literary magpie. So yeah, great to see you back, guys. And for everyone else, thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of the books I've talked about. Particularly let me know if you've got any category romance recommendations, because I'm all about category romance at the moment. I don't know how long that'll last, but I'm enjoying it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you've been reading. Hope you're safe and well. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.